I'm making a deal with you since almost 10,000 people liked the tweet, and I might regret this. If this video gets 10,000 likes in 24 hours, I will change the title of the video to The Raid That Edged the Entire Destiny Community. Okay, you have 24 hours. The Destiny community was set to take on the Final Shapes raid Salvation's Edge, and this one was special. With the Final Shape, the Destiny community had to truly race to get ready for the raid, as there were only 3 days to prepare, and within those 3 days, one of them had some severe server issues. The DLC had plenty of wild moments in the first 2 weeks since its launch, but the newest raid and the Day 1 raid race has definitely been the craziest part of the Final Shape so far. This was the longest Day 1 raid race in Destiny history, even beating out the infamous Last Wish. And the raid was so difficult that only one team managed to beat it within 24 hours. The race itself was tense, nerve-wracking, and an absolute blast to watch. My good friend and housemate CB Gray and I were lucky enough to host one of the most riotous raid zones that we have ever experienced, even if we were completely dead by the end of it. Over 2 million people watched Raid Zone total, and on my end, almost 47,000 people were watching at once live. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, and I look forward to pushing the envelope for creator events in the future. Thank you so much for supporting me on my journey. But we're not here for me. We're here for the story of the race. And the story of this race has twists and turns. Guardians across the world sat down in tens of thousands to watch the best raiders this game has ever produced over the 10 years attempt to clear the most difficult raid Bungie had ever made. Heavyweight champions duked it out. Some players formed super teams, and others kept their runs to a more private viewing experience. The stakes were high, the emotions were higher, and it was clear for all to see that challenge in this raid was a true pinnacle. Without further ado, welcome to Salvation's Edge, the story that just kept giving, and the conclusion of the 10-year journey of Destiny.
We sought an end to suffering. The audacity of that frightens you.
I want to get some announcements out of the way early. My GamerSupps Waifu Cup is going away very soon, so make sure to use code EVAN and support RaidZone by picking one up. The First Knife merch is also out, with of course another collab with Nogi-san, and this time I wanted to make a really cool concept for you guys. So there's not only merch, but a shiny card with a chrome holographic gold on the inside. These are high quality and come in slabs with some great details, my signature, and much more hidden stuff. Please consider picking one of these up with the merch. To answer your question that you might have, yes, more are coming with a different project I am working on. These are up for pre-order right now, and a certain amount need to get sold in order to get printed, so consider picking one up. Oh, and this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, but that won't come for a while into the video. Okay, enjoy. Some footage in this video is from players around the community. Their links will be in the description of this video, as well as the music too. Let's put this in perspective. In 24 hours, only one team cleared the raid. That's less than even the mightiest of Destiny raids. So you would think that the steps to get here would be ever so grand. For the sake of the raid, I like to give you guys some context to establish the stakes on these journeys. Salvation's Edge had to punch up like Mike Tyson in the 10th round if it were to remedy the gaffe that was Root of Nightmares. The community had collectively agreed that Ron was the lowest day 1 rating had ever seen. And unfortunately, it came at a time where everyone was having extreme disdain for the DLC Lightfall. Raids have always been a reflection of the quality of a DLC. They are the heart and soul of the DLC, the guiding moonlight in analysis, and in Ron's case, the pincushion of criticism. Contest difficulty on top of mechanics easy enough that Ron became the first solo entire raid in the game led to Bungie having to hit the drawing board for the next raid in the remastered Crota's End. Crota has always been the laughingstock of the Destiny community, so Bungie upped the contest difficulty and Crota got his revenge on Destiny players. Crota went from a joke to the longest remastered contest world's first clear, beating out his father Oryx from Kingsfall and Atheon from Vault of Glass. What worked so well was the added difficulty for damage checks on top of the punishing enemies. Joe Blackburn, director of Destiny at the time, said that he knew the stakes were going to be insane for the Final Shapes raid, so he promised that the raid difficulty was to be that of Val Ka'or from the Spire of Stars raid. Now, if you know anything about that raid or my channel, it was a raid boss so hard that I deemed it the hardest raid that had ever been made, taking 6 hours and 35 minutes, and almost all of that time was just at the boss. So you might think that Salvation's Edge would go until maybe the 8-hour mark, right? Well, 8 hours might have been just one encounter alone. With that promise and the Final Shapes release, we also had to look at the meta released at the time. The Still Hunt exotic sniper rifle would play a huge part of day one this time, allowing Celestial Nighthawk Golden Gun Supers to essentially be used a lot more often. What was also used? Ergo Sum, the Corridors of Time sword that would allow some lucky few a chance to use Wolfpack rounds on the sword. And paired with a heavy sword, this thing absolutely cooked. Other than that, the exotic trace rifle Microcosm was very helpful, along with some other legendaries. You might wonder if Prismatic, the brand new super introduced in the Final Shape, would play a huge part in day one. And the answer is not really. Prismatic wouldn't get a huge lift until the exotic class items were out after all. So that was the meta for day one raiding, aside from boring you with mods. And you really just needed to beat the legendary campaign and get the Still Hunt to participate in day one. For the stakes of the raid, we have the 10-year journey of Destiny and the first saga's conclusion. Who wouldn't want their names etched as a part of history, the way others had before? So, racers headed into a chaotic day one experience and prepared themselves for one last dance.
Show me the 30 frames, bro. Show me the 30 frames and I'm gonna escape.
30 frames.
I'm still at 90.
There, oh.
There it is.
Oh, it's high frames though. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
it's
There's gonna be some Vex enemies as you go up.
Bridges on the bottom.
Here.
I go straight across, like the gap is a little like thing, and then just go up that bridge thing in the cutscene for the trailer they made yesterday.
Dude.
No.
Alright. Looks like straight ahead for now.
Yeah, you gotta go up. There's Vex. Is that a Vex I just saw?
We know how this goes, guys, and this is the beauty of raid racing. It gets more competitive as it continues to go. New things are going to be done in order to hide their strats.
Okay, let's
Here we go.
They're already in. I see Elysium climbing these little weird staircases.
Already.
See these totems? Aside from the gorgeous art direction that Bungie is notorious for, these specific totems have a purpose throughout the raid. Racers weren't concerned here, but these are on an order to get the red border weapon chest, which we will leave alone for now. But there's also something fun involving raid mods here that is very unique to Salvation's Edge. For now, racers found their pathing to the very first encounter, Substratum.
Get ready for rally.
Loadouts. First one.
I'm keeping the same shit on.
Nice.
Rally
from the left.
on a loadout.
Left. Ad clear.
Yes. Good shit. Nice.
Rally pack.
Yeah, see, so
You want
this
a
is
regular
the triangle.
loadout now.
This is the triangle light here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how you did that, but
Oh shit, is his hand?
It was a minute and a half debuff, by the
Oh,
way.
shit, there's a hand, bro.
I have a timer when I pick up the residence.
Substratum, which I might as well call the sarcophagus, is a perfectly complex encounter befitting the title of entrance to the final raid in the saga. Twisting rooms, narrow paths, heroic team moments, and above all, a mechanic that took teams quite a while to solve. I should point out that there is a giant hand in the room. See, these hands come in all different directions, and with different symbols created on the floors in each encounter. For this room, the down hand, let's call it, spawned in triangles on the ground. Of course, in true Destiny World's First Raider fashion, players immediately went back to thinking in Shuro-Chi from Last Wish, standing around the triangle and trying to shoot at each other. But sadly, we're not far enough into the raid for these hands or the triangle buff to matter. This would take day one teams almost the amount of time of World's First Root of Nightmares to solve. Close to 2 hours on this encounter alone. So how did they do it? Well, there was a lot of theory crafting, but what ultimately was the case was a winding corridors of rooms ending with a plate mechanic. There are 8 doors, and only 2 open right next to each other. The right side team had to follow the doors and hug the rightmost side of the room, while the other team in the other door had to hug the leftmost side of the room. Once Minotaurs, then Hydras were killed, these opened pathways around the arena for the team's slaying. This was like storming the castle, and it was fantastic.
A keeper, Shadow.
Killing a keeper.
The door.
In the middle, it changed. It went down. This orb. It went down.
Yeah.
Who's it pointing at? Is it
pointing
at a person?
I think this is
I
like
don't know.
After killing an overload champion, a tormentor spawned and opened all of the doors for the team. Now you were supposed to team shoot the first tormentor, but as most teams found out, you would get locked in if not everyone was there. After this first one went down, teams had to get into high gear for the main mechanic of the first half of the raid, plates. Plates had a start and finish location, and since it's not explicitly clear which side you were going to without the experience, a lot of day one players struggled to find where to go.
All the pillars.
Okay, so we had 6 people charged.
I need one person with me that runs around and kill things.
What dictated the sides was a jolt of energy going from the plate through the wires on each side, starting where the plate began, then ending where a totem was located in the left or right side of the starting plate room. A little ping and pong was needed, but only at the right timing when the charge hit the end plate. Day 1 raiders struggled with the plate mechanic here for a while, but the totem and what to do with it was also a struggle. Eventually, after over an hour and a half into the raid, players realized you needed to shoot the totem before the circuit hit the plate, but with these little pyramid buffs on the ground in hand. 3 max were allowed per player to hold, and shooting the totem would make you lose one of the buffs, but it would lock the totem with the most satisfying sound ever. The final step was to place these pyramid buffs into the chest in the center after killing a subjugator. I should mention that the Dread, the brand new enemy to the final shape, were present in the entire raid, along with every single Darkness faction. The Vex, the Taken, the Scorn, the Cabal, and the Hive all showed up in the raid, which was a great mark of Bungie treating this raid like a finale. Another factor that held back a lot of teams from progressing reminded me a lot of Niobe Labs. Not that there was some insane puzzles like shooting fly while jumping in the air, but more that there was a time crunch to figure out what to do. See, the final shape was a reality in this raid. If you were too slow, you would just wipe. There was a huge amount of time crunch to figure out all of the mechanics, and I think that just elevated the day 1 experience even more. Because if teams had figured out what to do with unlimited time, there wouldn't be that pressure and there wouldn't be those stakes. So I thought Bungie did fantastic here. After 3 rounds of this progress and almost 2 whole hours being stuck at this encounter, eventually teams made it through.
Done.
Nice.
Let's go.
Killing
Yeah, just clear, just clear.
Alright, we cleared it. Good.
Oh god.
Oh my god, I was gonna say, nah.
I thought there was only 3 phases.
One more phase.
Oh, we're good.
Alright, Strand.
Let's go!
Good shit.
Go!
Okay, just keep going. Oh, we got it. Nice.
In between, the raid was absolutely gorgeous. Crystal-like final-shaped guardians, and aliens all about in a gigantic final castle setting. Floors that would spawn as you progressed, and a coliseum befitting only the best in the world. So we continue on. 2 hours into the raid, and only on encounter number 2.
Hey, we still gotta probably play fast.
Yeah, we're not.
Middle has a phalanx, the right side
I'm
has
shooting
a
and
focus.
wiping us.
You have to
Yeah,
kill
wipe us,
those
wipe us.
to
We'll wipe. We'll just everyone around.
There's a
you
taken
wanna
blade.
foul
There's a
out.
taken blade. There's a taken blade.
The second encounter was the first one that featured an actual boss to kill. The Herald of Finality is a giant Taken captain, and I'm still convinced that this is Taniks in his disciple form.
Everybody in chat, we are also. Whoa. Wait.
That's
That's
Taniks!
not Taniks. That's not. No way.
That is Taniks!
No way. I need a name
That's
check.
Taniks!
Can I get an ID?
No way, that's Taniks!
No, I need ID.
That's Taniks!
No, there's no way that's Taniks.
Someone at Bungie needs to confirm or deny this, because this is what I'm choosing to believe. And you know what? It's a little bit of fan service. Everybody thought that Taniks might come back. Well, he's here in the final raid of the saga. This encounter took the plate charging mechanic from the first encounter and made it slightly more interesting with the inclusion of more shapes. And if you're sick of shapes now, oh boy, do I have some bad news for you. The resonance stacks that teams needed to collect had their own symbols attached to them, a sphere or a pyramid. And so players would now need to shoot the conductors with the symbol that matched their stacks of resonance. The only issue is that you couldn't tell what symbol the conductor contained until you got a buff called Stolen Favor. Now, how do you get this buff? 3 players chosen at random had to enter the ring and had to duke it out with Taniks' head until they heard the bell. No, literally, there was an actual bell that sounded you to go into the WrestleMania charity event. Once the Call to Reckoning Thunderdome had been completed, teams would receive the Stolen Favor buff. And after playing the ping pong one more time, banking the symbols, you would dunk the resonance in the chest and middle, and then it was time for damage. Now, it didn't take long for players to get to damage, and if I had to guess, a lot of the reason it took almost no time was because the mechanic carried over from the first encounter. We're talking about players taking only 18 minutes from the start to get to damage.
This side is also done.
That's a
No, it's a
joke.
wipe. I was just trying.
Yeah, damage him.
Can you res me?
Okay, I will face tank him.
On day 1, there were quite a few damage options. Swords were undoubtedly a good pick, especially because of the busted broken artifact mods this season, and the Ergo Sum sword, which could give the entire team Wolfpack rounds if someone had got lucky enough for that drop. I can't fully confirm, but I'm almost certain that the Herald of Finality took more damage from swords in general too. This is something that's unspoken about in a lot of raids. There are just some bosses coded to take more damage from certain weapons. Think of Crota, and how swords intrinsically will do more damage to Crota over everything else. Other options included the ridiculously strong Microcosm Trace Rifle, the Legend of Acreus, and the standard close range options as well. Looking at you, Strand Titan. Now, Outbreak Perfected also worked out perfectly when the team was out of ammo. And trust me, you would need the damage and the ammo. The other memorable thing about this encounter was that the attendants definitely won the prize for the most irritating enemy across the final shape. And that includes the Witness. Not only could these things shred you to pieces in seconds, but they would also apply stasis AoE slowing, which would prevent you from actually doing the damn mechanics. In the first encounter, Weavers would pull you over the plate so you couldn't step on them in time. In the second, you would get frozen and slowed. Several teams took to using wave frame grenade launchers as an option, just to get rid of these little f***s as soon as they spawned in. Elysium came so close to being the first team to get this clear, but you can see exactly from this clip why those attendants annoyed Salt so much.
Into it. Partially teams of 2. Partially. Oh, sorry guys. Oh, CB. I didn't say anything. I didn't jinx it. I'm just talking about the encounter. But
Yo,
man,
Chad, did CB jinx?
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. It took teams just about 2 hours to get this encounter cleared. At this point, the raid race was in full swing, and Team Elysium was in the lead. We'd already blown past the amount of time that it took to clear Root of Nightmares, and people watching realized that Bungie had finally shaped up. The difficulty of the day one experience had reached the levels that raiders had now hoped for. Nobody, however, knew just how much more difficult things could get. Bungie had truly cooked. Once teams had beaten Taniks with a steel chair, it was time to take in the beauty one more time. One thing I always love in Destiny is the scale of its location. For this one, after the second encounter was completed, you could see yourself well above this raid encounter. Yeah, that's right. If you look down from this tree, you could see the second encounter Coliseum from all the way up here. Speaking of raids, I found it fitting for this video that we work with Raid themselves, since this is Raid. Yeah, you know we had to ask Raid if they wanted to collab, and thankfully they did. And I think it's really cool that they're on board here, and this month they have their own Raid boss. Well, not a boss, but a new character named the Monkey King. No, not Goku, but based off of Wukong from Journey to the West. Raid has made him a must-have for any team because he can steal abilities, can block buffs, and he can ignore enemies' defense. Users will get an additional 2 epic heroes using my link. Tayrel, considered by many to be a top 3 epic in the game, and a level 25 Rector Drath, super strong support epic. Raid is also letting you guys win a ton of cash prizes in the summer event. $5,000 of value from consoles to gift cards all through my link. There will be a special Summer Tavern minigame for a limited time to get these. So if the Monkey King and giveaways sound good to you, downloading Raid with my link in the description helps me out a ton. Without your support, I couldn't have made it this far, and I want to continue to support cool stories like this one. So consider downloading Raid with my link down below. This is where I should point out that enemies would stay at least a little difficult. Not only was there the day one contest difficulty, but Bungie added surges to all raids and dungeons post-contest, which has been seen as controversial to the community. On one hand, it does add some stress to the raid just being a little underleveled, but on the other hand, surges limit loadouts to whatever the surge asks of them. I can say lowmans and speedruns are definitely impacted by this. And personally, I just hope Bungie adds an option for normal raids and added difficulties. Even contest mode for just cosmetics. It would be great. Options are always objectively best for a game like Destiny.
Lock in, lock in! Let's go!
Push. Push.
Can't see him.
No.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Nice. Yes, dude.
Yeah, man.
Oh god.
Let's go.
Let's go, boys.
Lost second. That
Let's
ignition.
go.
Where do we go? Where do we go?
Sending? Turn.
Right is done. That is done. Remember.
We're done. Nice.
Nice.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go.
As Elysium was sitting by themselves at this moment, Repository was ready to be tested. This encounter feels like an evolution of Expedition from the Vow of the Disciple raid, and this time accompanied by the third shape, a cube. In the third hand position, a wall or beam hand, or horizontal hand. Once teams had beaten the Herald of Finality, they were faced with an encounter that used the same mechanics as the first, but featured yet another type of resonance to grapple with. At the start, players had to kill a tormentor on each side, then begin the ping pong. In the first encounter, there was only pyramidal resonance. The second encounter added spherical resonance, and hexahedron resonance became part of the mix in the third one. Immediately, you can see how this makes the whole loop trickier for teams. The final resonance stack that players picked up needed to match with the conductors with the appropriate symbols, and not all or nothing for buff pickups. This is where the tormentors came in. At the start of the encounter, 3 tormentors spawned in, accompanied by a small army of adds. The player who got the final blow on the Tormentor on each side is the one who was granted Stolen Favor buff, which allowed them to call out the symbols on the conductors. This encounter is quite similar to the others in terms of pace and team composition.
Sorry, did you say triangle? First here,
Turrets.
Yeah, I'm going right now.
Yeah. No, circle's been done.
I'm thinking double sure.
Yeah.
Mine's locked.
Turrets.
Turrets.
Prepare for turrets. Turrets are up.
The order of operations was this: Tormentors, ping pong, then shooting the correct symbol on the totems. If you were too slow, then a subjugator would spawn in. Once all of the resonance had been dunked into the chest, teams had to move on to the second room, which had another little nasty trick up its sleeve that players had to figure out. You see, in the first room, the paths that the plates take are straightforward, in that they end on the same side of the room that they started on. In the second room, the middle and left paths cross over. Things would only get worse in the third room, as the left plate went to the middle plate went to the right, and the right plate went to the left. Confused? Well, me too. But these darkness circuit shenanigans didn't bother Team Elysium, as they finished the encounter in just under an hour. Seriously, I want to sit here and gas this encounter up because it is chaotic as hell, especially in the final room, which flip-flops everything around and scrunches the Tormentors in so close. But they just cooked.
Which one?
That guy popped.
No, we're done. Nice.
We're done.
Nice.
Let's go.
Okay,
Eagers.
we have to focus the fuck up to this play, guys. You're doing really well.
Let's fucking go.
So far, the raid race was looking like it was in favor of Team Elysium, and teams seemed like they were doing pretty well behind them. The raid had already lasted longer than Root of Nightmares by almost 3 times its length by now, but if you were there on day 1, then you remember how menacing this next part would be. Until now, Elysium had their commanding lead, and even more so, Elysium are great at executing encounters they know very well. We've seen this so far up until now. Once they learned the first encounter, they finished second faster than anybody. Once they learned second encounter, they finished third faster than anybody. In the past, I have said that Bungie would need to make a puzzle that put Vault to shame if they wanted to really test Day 1 raiders. And Bungie must have been listening, because Verity was coming. Up until now, Elysium was in a solid lead, with the next closest team being Team Indebted, with A-Tides' POV that we followed being almost an hour and a half behind Elysium. So we had a clear leader, but they weren't prepared for Verity. Right when I saw the room, I knew Bungie was cooking. Now, does this room remind you of anything? You have a large spinning central portion of the room, an all-white background, symbols present, another final shape timer to force players into solving the encounter quickly. Yeah, this, my dear viewer, was Vault 2.0. It was Niobe Labs 2. It was Corridors of Time, and it was magical. This became either your favorite or least favorite encounter of all time, depending on who you asked. The first hour alone of this encounter was filled with sheer shock from the Destiny community that there could be another puzzle on our hands, and this threw the largest wrench I have ever seen in the raid race. Very much reminiscent of Redeem's climb from behind in Last Wish, Clan Indebted was catching up, and with every single death, that would count for Elysium. All the info Elysium could crack was picking up shapes on Guardians that looked like themselves and placing them into other statues, while 3 others would need to move 3D shapes around. There was a projector on the wall with shapes rotating. There was a mechanic where they died and others could pick up their ghosts. There was a Dark Realm look when they died. There were so many variables, so many questions, but time was ticking. Team Indebted has now caught up. Team Parabellum too.
We need to go back to our basics. I feel like this is just AIDS. Like we would probably hit the same damage with Rocket or Izzy. Like,
but they are not prepared for what is next. Again, more symbols, more ideas, more back and forth. Was the goal to jump into the very suspicious hole in the room? Was it to make complete 3D shapes inside and outside on the matching statues? More time ticked. More teams were coming, and Alicia may have had their kryptonite discovered. A team so great at execution was given a puzzle in the middle of the raid. And guys, we haven't even seen the witness. Or have we? I'll explain later. Again, the goal was to free your guardians from calcification and certain death. The details were amazing, with the statues forming and reforming to what players were wearing, and remembering each ghost that each player had equipped would be important. At this point, we tracked a few others that had made it here, but again, no progress had been made. By this point, teams that were no doubt out of a race had to recover stamina for the marathon that Salvation's Edge would provide. This encounter was now longer than a lot of day one raids, and was creeping up on the time it took for Vault from Last Wish. Unless you count the brute forcing of that encounter, this one was getting close. But this encounter couldn't be brute forced at all. Team John, or the super team with staples like ATP, Zemo, and Vendetta, were now here, and the comms for all these teams, including John's, were turned off. This was a huge point of controversy that would only grow as the raid continued. This is where Team Parabellum caught up as well, but almost nobody knew this because they streamed privately to themselves in an unlisted stream on YouTube. They were making the same hunt for the second win so many had before, but the only team with comms involved was a player named Free Boop.
You have comms muted on your stream?
No, I have the comms open, bro. I keep having
They're talking about so I think they realize they're being watched.
Yeah.
Clearly.
This was a huge part of day one, even if it was pretty funny. Day one was all about information at this point, and in hour 5 of the Verity encounter, you might think that this was time for comms to be open, but any point of information could risk the day one experience for these teams. I saw a lot of people attacking players for making the day one an unwatchable experience, calling them selfish for not sharing their screens, but I also don't think that Tom Brady would let you in the huddle. I think it's already hard enough to keep information hidden and keep yourself in the lead. Destiny is very lock and key. Once you know the mechanic, execution isn't the hardest thing, whereas a game like World of Warcraft gives players a whole guide on the mechanic, and it's all about the execution of your team. I'm curious to know if, in your opinion, things have changed, or if you think it's annoying that players hide their screens. If you think it's understandable. Literally anything. I'm just curious to know your opinion, because this was a huge point of contention, so leave me a comment. I will say that for a while, Boop was the only team showing comms, but this encounter was crazy enough that anyone would be losing it.
Shut the f up! Shut the f up! Shut up! Shut up! I don't care what you have to say! You're saying f nothing! You're saying nothing! You're saying nothing! You're saying nothing! You're saying nothing!
A few more teams made it here, including the Aegis relic of those insane build and damage testing videos. Surely he would be able to crack a puzzle. Giggs, former world's first champion and legendary player, also made it here by now. But again, no real progress. Math class has made it here now, after a climb back from the beginning of the raid, and immediately the Omaha went up on screen.
This might be when we see the iconic though muting of everything.
You might be in Omaha until like.
Told you,
Okay,
Omaha.
Yeah.
Omaha.
It's that.
No. This is their. Think about it. This,
I know it is,
this
but like they got so much to make up
this
for in
story.
time. No
Think
more
about this
time for
story.
Omaha.
They were.
Now, if you don't know where Omaha comes from, it's a call out to be made from former NFL Hall of Fame quarterback Peyton Manning, in which Omaha is a call for an audible or a change of the play. For raid racing, that means muting the stream, and for this one, Dado said it was going to be a long one. Not long after, Redeem had now caught up, and the comms were on.
Really?
Oh god, oh
Dude,
What?
It's like a puzzle, but way worse than.
Oh no, dude.
I'll go to bed.
So wait, I thought there was another non-boss encounter.
During this portion, Bungie was somehow watching the Raid Zone event, and I swear to God, this was the most unexpected part of it for me. They gave us final shapes to give away. I figure since I had extra codes from the event and Bungie just randomly giving us codes to give away, I would just give them away now. So good luck to everyone. There's some codes on screen.
Alright, send Bravo a triangle.
I still don't see
I'm
it.
hearing a lot of noises. Look at my statue now. Oh,
It is
the
not
back
done.
wall's
It is not
done.
done.
I'm free. I'm out. I'm free.
Oh, he's out. He is out. He is out.
Okay, we figured it out. We figured it out. Just wait. Just wait. We actually know how to do it. We actually know.
Go, boys. Let's lock in now.
Wait, it teleported.
This was also when Team Parabellum had their first case of having a player return from the inside and joining the 3 players on the outside. In a weird situation where one player died, then another was sucked in, they were able to escape, meaning that Parabellum was on the cusp of victory. At this point, I should probably explain how the encounter works for you while our raiders wait on a clear. So, Verity is the most aha puzzle I have ever seen, and it can basically be cleared up by this TikTok.
The arch.
The arch. The arch.
You guessed it.
The arch.
It goes in the square hole.
I'm serious too. So the goal was to not have the shape that each player's statue was holding on the inside be the same as what they started with. 3 players were teleported to the inside, where they were in their own room each. 3 players were on the outside. Let's talk about the inside first. The goal of the inside was to move the 2 2D shapes that were on your own statue over to the other players. The projector showed which shapes you were currently holding, and those shapes would drop from the knights. Okay, easy so far, right? So let's say that the order was triangle on left, circle in middle, and square on the right. Let's say for this, I am the left statue holding a triangle. Now let's say on the wall, I saw a triangle and a square. Since you always get your own statue symbol to start, I would simply need to make sure my teammates also did not receive their own buff. So if I picked up a square, I would give the square to the circle player statue. Since I cannot bank a symbol on my own statue, and I don't want to give the square statue a square, I would then move the triangle to the square statue, since it's the only place left for me to go, right? Then your teammates would do the same, eventually making it so none of us had the starting symbols, but each of us had 2 unique 2D shapes that weren't our own starting shape. So if the order started when we first got in is triangle, circle, square, then triangle side should end with a circle and a square symbol. Circle should end with a triangle and a square. Square should end with a triangle and a circle. The only times it gets confusing is if players have 2 of the same symbol, which then you follow the same idea. Banking the wrong statue doesn't wipe you either, so you can play around and make mistakes. I think where this got confusing was in the interaction and the outside job. Once 6 banks are in, the witness will notice your effort, in which it will calcify you until someone picks up your ghost and puts you in the correct statue spot. The problem is that only one player can see another player, so they need to utilize 4th wall breaking mechanics and use spectating mode to help out. If banked in the correct statue, the inside player will return to where they were, and they're almost done. Once they have their 2 2D symbols that are not on their own statue's starting place, they will need to kill both knights and pick up both buffs to be granted access to the other side. The glass between 2D and 3D will break, and you are free, if the outside players did their job correctly. The outside is mostly the same, and is only confusing again because of the interaction of banking to swap instead of just banking. Typically, Destiny has this interaction where you would normally deposit. I mean, if you pick up a symbol and you interact with the statue, you would think that would mean that you're depositing on that statue and not swapping, which is why I found the outside roll a little bit more confusing than it should have been. You are essentially doing the same thing as inside, but with 2 shapes at once. So if the order is triangle, circle, square, you need to move all of the triangles out of the left side by picking up a triangle buff and interacting with the triangle statue, which makes it glow, indicating that you have selected that one to begin swapping. Then you need to swap it with another statue that needs to have its shape removed by bringing that buff to the statue. Realistically, the only communication from inside to outside team is knowing what the original order was and applying that knowledge. The grim enemy was menacing here, and blasting you with the tinnitus buff made me very happy pterodactyls went extinct. Unstoppable hive ogres were annoying too, but these little bastards can break anyone's concentration. So again, if we followed the inside and translated 2D to 3D, we would end with a cylinder on left, middle with a prism, and right with a cone. Some players even took to online to show Rolk moving the symbols. Now, I don't know why Rolk is here, but this is also a great visual representation of what's happening on the outside. After all sides were done and the wall broken, all 5 of 6 players were frozen, and only 1 player at a time could see where to bank the other ones. Once everyone was banked in, everyone came back to life. Now repeat this 2 more times. That is the encounter. And now you could see why brute forcing just wasn't an option. At this point, nobody knew it quite yet, but Parabellum had made some serious progress and actually figured it out by isolating variables to the encounter. They first looked at the fail condition of the Triumph. Then they knew a certain amount of swaps that had to be made before the witness noticed their efforts. For a long time, Parabellum and many other teams thought that the witness noticing your effort meant you were doing something right the whole time, when that isn't always the case. It's just after a certain amount of swaps. The crazy part of this is that without the death before and the accidental wall break, Parabellum may not have known what worked. They ended up recreating exactly what happened to the player on that run, and they were able to get through it and decided it had to be correct. With this in mind, and while the whole world was watching, self included, other POVs, Parabellum was through the encounter in 6 hours and 40 minutes since they had gotten there, but over 9 hours since the encounter was first discovered.
Right side, middle.
I didn't pick up. It didn't.
We're good. We're good.
Pick it up.
Grab ammo. Grab ammo. Grab
One more
ammo.
phase.
Grab ammo. Grab ammo. Grab ammo.
Why would it be another?
There is going to be a third. There's always
No,
three.
there's 3 phases.
There's always 3.
Everything
Grab
is game
ammo.
of 3.
It's only 6 Guardians.
While the world knew nothing about what Parabellum had accomplished, and after 9 hours, teams finally started to get it down. Datto, screen covered. ATP, screen covered. Team Parabellum, well, we don't exactly know, but private stream assumes stream is covered for the world. All in the lead. The only information we had that could tell us they were making progress was Lunar, the coach of both Team John and Math Class, updating me in chat with information like the community is going to hate how easy this solution really was. And we only knew progress through the music that was being played behind the screens. But we do have the VODs now, so here is the clears.
Where's Jake?
Jake is far left. Far left, Jake.
Ham is second. Ham is second from the left. Then Shadow is far right. Shadow is far right.
Far right. That's last.
Good.
Let's
go. Not over. Listen up.
Up. Middle. Up.
The beam. In the beam.
Comms now. Bravo, you need to restart your stream and private your VOD. I don't care what you think. You need to do it now.
It's already over, bro.
Where's Zemo going?
Zemo's 3.
Zemo's 3.
Liam is 1.
Zemo, you're gonna come grab me afterwards?
Wait, I can see all of them.
Zemo's 3. Where's Zazie going?
1.
I can see Vendetta 2.
Yeah, we're done.
Vendetta 2.
Your cloak is freaking out. Yeah, it's fucking out.
ATP's 5.
Who's the heart and where are they going?
ATP 5. ATP 5.
Last one.
Come on.
You ready?
Please.
Be done.
Yes! No, listen to me. We are not done.
Yeah. Lock in.
Are we taking streams?
Elevator. No. Stream should not be online. Absolutely not. We can't let anyone know that we did it.
Chat.
Oh.
Chat.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are we ATP, please?
Imagine
Please.
he comes back to the screen. and
Please,
he's done.
man, please.
Oh!
No way! Oh my gosh! The Taylor Swift Guardian, holy cow! The witness brings it home. Solves corridors.
About to scream, no. I'm about to scream. Get sneak. Oh yeah? Boys?
Please?
I'm showing my screen. I'm showing my screen.
Let's go.
I'm about to twerk.
Oh my god.
I'm about to twerk.
Let's go.
Listen. You guys are the fucking best. I will line you all up and suck you off.
Wait, yeah, we're not, job is not finished.
Job is not finished.
God, that feeling was amazing, and I just love a good puzzle. At this point, we are about 15 hours into the raid, and 10 of them were spent on Verity. For reference, that encounter alone was longer than every single raid other than Vault of Glass and Last Wish. And this raid was only second in time to Last Wish. With the final belt of the first saga of Destiny on the line, and over 500,000 viewers tuning in that late on just Twitch alone, yeah, this was special. All we had to work off of was the sounds and the excitement, adrenaline pumping and the world watching. Destiny was about to have its peak moment. This was the first time since Last Wish that Destiny had a raid this long, and we had not seen the final boss. After a longer encounter than Vault from Last Wish, only one remained. Remember when I said that we hadn't seen the Witness, or maybe we have? Well, we kind of did see it before. If you followed this jumping puzzle, not only can you see it from the final spot of the third encounter, but you can also see just how large the Witness is. The Witness is the entire raid. Follow the body of the Witness for a moment. Think about the architecture. This is its body, and it is connected to whatever this tree is, powering the entire spire or dark tower. The Witness is larger than any raid boss we have ever seen by a wide margin, and this was the perfect build-up. It was already really cool seeing the disciples of the Witness with Rolk, Nezarek, and Callus on the walls going into its final room, followed by this sweet, sweet door of our Guardian overshadowed by the Witness, almost looking like the prophecy board teased all the way back in the Vow of the Disciple raid. And considering we saw the prophecy board missing the final symbol, maybe it's time we make our own fate. Only one team was going to win this, and Elysium weren't far behind either.
It should be the last one that we do 5, right? Last one's 5?
Yeah. Good job. Let's keep it up.
It's not over.
Crazy how the second we know what we're doing, we clear.
It's not over.
Shit, fuck it.
It's not over.
It's like we're just better at the game, bro.
Lift in the middle. Lift in the middle, I think.
Guys, my galley is reloading to 1 rocket and I can't sprint. I need to restart the game. Like. Now?
But now it was time for the Witness.
Praying for this for years.
For so long.
Like, just do it.
We got this shit.
Holy.
You've all been here before. You understand. Just lock
So,
the
like,
fuck, figure it out and go.
We've got flashcards. I'm gonna put it.
Let's go. 3 left, 3.
Going up. Jump up.
Okay, wait. Sit early flag.
There he is. Holy.
Oh shit. Oh god.
That's f***ing cool, dude.
Do you see early?
That might
Well, in the campaign and stuff, remember you.
He's got weak. Look at his body. He's got like circles on his body.
Okay, so crit
And there's
damage.
symbols.
Yeah, so we
Looks
have
like a
crits.
3-3 split, guys.
Still hot.
Can we split?
Guys, what the
Okay.
heck? Bro, that is insane.
They beat it.
Really beat it.
They beat it.
Oh my god.
Whoa!
Whoa, whoa,
Whoa!
whoa.
Whoa! Can we full screen that?
Yes.
No! No!
Team Parabellum, Team Math Class, Team Elysium, Team Johns, Team Ethereal, with Rumamax's forehead on screen, all battling for the title of World's First. Think of the storylines. Parabellum, a team that had been close so many times, coming from the shadows to win. Team Math Class, finally getting Datto his long-awaited belt. Team Elysium going for the 5th belt, solidifying GOAT status even further. Team John made up of great players all hungry for a belt. And Vendetta, who has a belt. Team Ethereal, Forehead. The Witness was all about dread, scorn, and hands. Remember when I said that those hands in each encounter would be important? Well, they are now. The Witness was a combination of puzzle, combat, and damage checks. Exactly what a finale should be. Not only was this rough, it was so rough that only one team would pass this test in 24 hours. But who would be up to the test? The first issue was figuring out how exactly to progress the boss. Clearly the buttons were immune, but they looked important enough that they had to have a solution. The hands each had a buff when standing in them for long enough, but you couldn't stand in them too long or the Witness would shoot resonance on you and kill you, especially on contest mode, instantly. Now add subjugators of stasis and strand on the sides, and a bunch of screebs along with weavers that pull you towards the screebs, and you have a chaotic room. What they figured out was that shooting gauntlets while standing in the respective buffs revealed a color and a symbol on the cufflinks. Hand up meant that you needed to stand in the circle resonance to shoot it. Hand down needed triangle, and horizontal or beam hand was a square. The key was to get the buff from each or one at a time, but to bring that buff to the associated cufflink. So if up hand had a square on the link, then I needed to bring the square buff to the up hand and stand in the circle for just a second to break the up hand. This gave a glyph breaker buff, which then allowed raiders to shoot a button on the Witness's chest. You could stand in the pool in the center to wipe away yours and others' timers as well when shooting the button. Everyone on RaidZone was so pressed to find information on the hidden screens that when Datto had his glasses on, everyone was saying to zoom in and they could see the raid on his glasses. Then...
Ones that we need to be hitting? I think there's certain ones that we need to be
probably
hitting.
need to break all of the glyphs. We
broke
2.
I don't know, I got glyph breaker at the end.
No, it might be, you think it's resonance based, how many you can break?
Well, yeah, no. It's the glyphs? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh,
no, the
maybe.
totems at the end.
Totems. Yeah, those glyphs. Those are the glyphs.
No, that's not the.
No, the glyphs is the thing that's in his chest.
The test happened. See, up until now, everyone could agree this raid was already a marathon, but this was the final raid puzzle to get to damage. The Witness would apply a test to the raiders. The test was filled with questions. What was I supposed to shoot? And how could I tell? Did everyone see a piece of what to shoot? Did Bungie make it so one player could see the answer? Well, eventually, ATP clearly figured something out.
Did it die?
It died, but Witness tested us.
No one shoot these.
Does anyone have Glyph Keeper? Are we really this, like, there's no way it's this, right? There's no way we're so stupid that we don't just keep Glyph Keeper and just shoot it during this, right?
No, I've seen people with Glyph Keeper. Look at this. I've seen a couple POVs.
Wait, what?
Wait, how do we do that?
I'm alive.
What happened?
Wait, what?
He made a triangle and it worked.
Okay, can I get it?
Can you screenshot?
And then we just need to assign everybody to one of them, I think.
There's no way.
Can we go back to covering the screen?
What happened?
Black screens, please.
AT.
You eat shoot.
All we knew was that you needed to jump in the air to avoid it. Parabellum broke down to me that the Witness has a limit of 8 resonant stem totems to shoot before it automatically makes you fail the test. So the first thought was to shoot 8 in a row and then work inside out since the inner ones spawn first. The problem with this is that the correct amount to shoot is 6. But that doesn't help as the Witness slows you down before you cannot jump. On top of this, there wasn't really a clear clue. The goal was complex. Draw the shape associated to the hand type as you broke the last one. Not the cufflink, but the hand type. So if it was horizontal hand broken last, then the shape had to be a square to draw. Same with the triangle or the circle. So I hope you like shapes, and I hope you like drawing them. So many teams struggled with this, and so many more struggled with staying alive.
You ready to jump, guys?
Get ready to jump.
You're in a beam. Watch out.
Oiled.
Jump.
Bravo's dead.
It's just the ground. It's just if you're on the ground or not.
That's too fast.
It's just if you're on the ground or not.
I
That's
jumped a
it.
little bit early. Yeah, it's just on the ground.
This was not the final test either, as damage hadn't begun. After drawing the correct shape and doing the mechanics in a hellfest of a room, it was time to finally see some damage.
So
Yes, we're gonna look to dodge his attack.
I'm leaving. I am leaving.
Surging light, then run. Surging light, then run.
You guys can try to dodge. I am leaving.
No, it lifts us up. The platform's elevated.
You can leave. You can leave. You can leave. No, it stays. It stays if you leave.
But you just dodge.
No,
you just
it's
dodge.
free. It's free. It's free. It's free.
You just dodge. You just dodge. Oh wait, is it free though?
Not free. It is not
It
free.
is so
Not
not
to run.
free.
Need
Like,
to
look
run.
like your chi, like platform. Stay on the blue and you're safe.
What?
No, we have to just
Wait. Okay.
Look back.
Do we have to stay there or no?
Okay, I think.
Yeah, we have to
for
stay there
this-
for surging light.
The witness was a test of movement, and a much harder test than even Rolk. And I just have to say that this was truly amazing. Think of the stakes. Think of the moment. 18 hours into the raid, on the cusp of passing Last Wish's timer for the longest day 1 raid in Destiny history. And the damage was brutal. Not only was the witness tough to damage, requiring the whole team to move around, but you basically needed hunters with Still Hunt and Celestial Nighthawk, or you just weren't going to get through damage. There was swaying left and right, there was jumping, there was tight damage checks, and the world's first on the line, with every death meant a wipe creeping up, which meant the belt slipping away, reset, death, wipe, time ticking, decisions needed making, stress weighing, stamina draining, the world watching. It was time.
Good shit. Damage.
Swap legs if you need to. Golden gun outside this wall.
Get ready. Go right, then left.
Don't worry, Razor.
No jump. Nice. Ready for another set. Go left, then right jump. Right jump now. Nice. Get ready. Another set. Right, then left. Left jump.
Slow jump.
Now.
Slow jump.
Now.
Good job.
Good call, Dado. Good shit.
Come on, make this fucker.
Right, get out, get out. Don't get greedy.
Get out, get out. There's a subjugator on the right. There's a subjugator on the right.
You need to kill somebody.
Back, so I don't fucking agree.
I give the codes, I give the codes. Go back.
Jump.
Forward jump, jump.
No, I didn't see the back one.
Forward.
Right.
Back soon. Jump soon.
Getting cooked by the ads right now. Right.
Back.
Oh, I got subjugate.
Left on side.
Suspended, bro. I got suspended with you.
Oh my
That's
god.
brutal, bro.
Oh, did we not kill him?
This place sucks.
Well, when you shoot the last cliff, it spawns them again.
Oh.
But little did we know that Team Parabellum had actually made some insane progress. I want to say that this was a back and forth battle for the ages, but really, Parabellum was just so locked in. And truthfully, they made it to Final Stand faster than any other team.
Behind. Watch those things. Play back, always.
Back in the
left.
front. Back in the front.
Move front right. Front right.
Enemy eyes. Enemy eyes.
Jump. Stay back. Always
Yeah,
back
stay
if we
back,
don't
stay
know.
back.
Always back if we don't know.
Yep. Then
Back
front.
left.
And then we move
now.
forwards.
Front right. Back left. Back left.
Gonna be enemy eyes too.
Back right. Front
Active
left.
front. Enemy eyes. Enemy eyes.
Jump forward.
I got it. It's circle.
I got hexed.
Triangle is wall. Triangle is wall.
Where circle is test. Circle is test. Circle is test.
Circle for
Jump.
front.
Front right. Back left.
And we're gonna have to jump here probably.
Not yet. Enemy eyes coming
Right
soon.
left.
Enemy eyes coming soon. Go back right. Go back right.
Jump back.
Back right. Back right. Back right. Do we push or not?
No, we should not. We have a ton of residents. We should not push here.
No, we do not push.
Front left, front left.
Go straight back. Go straight back when you get off.
Enemy eyes. Jump.
Jump forward. Jump forward.
Holy shit.
How did that kill me? That was
It's square. Square. Square.
Yep.
Heard that. Heard that.
Kill subjugate
Everyone
on
else
right,
go,
please,
Ryan.
if we have a chance.
Focus ads, guys. We need to help Tyrax on right.
Square's ready.
Watch the square. Watch the triangle. Watch the triangle.
You ready for wipe?
You ready to jump? Jump.
Nope. Jump now.
Jump.
The final stand was more of the same, but a very, very tight damage check. But ultimately, only one team was able to win within 24 hours.
GL or whatever, I don't care.
LFR, just LFR or whatever.
Get ready. We're starting. We're starting.
No Celestials!
Do not,
Play
no
your light.
super, no
Back
supers,
of the
no
plate
supers.
first. Back of the plate first.
Back of the plate.
Front, right, front right.
Front right.
Back to left, back to
You're
left.
gonna jump left.
Jump.
Front right. Res if we can.
I cannot res.
Final coming.
Okay, it's final. It's final.
Call
it's
damage,
final.
call damage. Call damage is up.
Somebody res. It's when his chest is glowing. It's up.
I'll tell you. It's up.
Up.
Go.
Watch for the,
Still dodge,
watch
guys.
for the stuff.
Back of the plate. Back of the plate.
Front left,
Left.
Back right.
Back right.
Wait! Focus! Look for mechanics! Focus!
Focus. We turn something up.
Don't care! I do not care! Focus!
Focus. Stop and listen.
Behind.
Stop and listen.
Deluxe, is that us?
Stop!
We're not done
Shut
yet,
up.
bro. Shut the f up.
We got permission, please.
We got bonus
Permission.
button.
Mission complete! We need chest!
That's first!
We need to get chest! We need to get chest! We need to loot chest! We need to loot chest!
No, we're good.
All right, loot chest.
Loot chest! They called it! We need to loot chest!
Leave, that's first!
Let's go, bro.
Witness on me.
Get out.
Can we start mission? I'm starting mission, I guess.
What was that, guys?
We're
An
done.
8-hour
It's
run?
over. We're done.
They call me Kaplan,
GG's,
guys. They call me
fucking
Kaplan.
did it.
Do we want to do this
They
mission
call
or
me
not? Do we
Kaplan.
want to do this mission
They
or
call
not?
me Kaplan.
No, just leave.
I'm taking to orbit. I'm taking us to orbit.
Wow, we just clutched.
Taking us to orbit. Shut up! Everyone just shut up! Are we sure?
Yes.
18 hours, 59 minutes, and 41 seconds. 19 hours if we're going to round it up. The longest raid in Destiny history was won by Team Parabellum, a team that was mostly unknown to the wider community, pulled off the greatest feat Destiny has ever seen. Former Fortnite pro Tyrax, players Ham, Bravo, Drakus Shadow, Jake, and Astro. This was your moment, and each was rewarded with the raid exotic and presented with the real finale. See, the Witness may have been vastly hurt. Hell, the Witness may have dropped the raid exotic for everyone who completed contest, rewarded an emblem and some patterns to craft raid weapons, but it wasn't dead, and Parabellum's story will forever live in infamy. They were the only team to clear in 24 hours, with second place coming at 1 day and 1 hour in. Team John came in third at 1 day, 1 hour, and 15 minutes. Boop was fifth, and Elysium, which featured Saltagrepo as a Titan originally, finished 7th, with him swapping over to Hunter for the kill. Titans were just not useful against the Witness in the damage phase, and every fraction of damage counted. Parabellum would even help another player when Tyrax got off, and finished 9th in the world after claiming first. A lot of staple teams would actually get off for the night, including Math Class, who came back to finish the job the next night. But even then, they still placed 104th. This raid was so menacing that you could take some sleep time and still finish close to the top 100. Almost no Titans finished the raid on contest, and almost nobody would forget the story of Salvation's Edge. But we had a Witness to kill once and for all.
Defenders of Soul, hear me now! Moments ago, one fire team infiltrated the Witness's monolith and shattered its hold on the Traveler's light.
Endgame for the Witness. The characters of Destiny gathered together for one final brawl to put it away, with Zavala acknowledging Parabellum for weakening the Witness for the entire Destiny community. The fight was on. A mission akin to the campaign finale, but with all the enemies and all the heroes duking it out. The Witness was ours to defeat. This Excision mission was more cinematic than challenging, especially compared to the raid, but a Grandmaster version is set to release soon. This was a 12-player mission where everyone could come together to do light raid mechanics, use the Master Sword against the statues like the Final Shape campaign showed, and show who actually did the raid when the Witness beamed everyone down to death on the damage phase. By the end of it, it went like this.
What was made can be unmade. I know what to do. Guardian, channel the Traveler's light through me. I'm ready.
I don't understand.
That's it. We did it. We did it.
Parabellum, you did this for everyone. And of course, especially since nobody saw the stream of them, I wanted to ask some questions.
How does it feel, man?
Feels pretty crazy, honestly. It was a pretty long raid.
Yeah, how did it finish? How did it feel? Did it live up? Like, I mean, was it? How did you feel about the
that
final
was, in my opinion, my humble opinion, that was the greatest raid in Destiny history, without a doubt.
It was also the longest.
By far.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of the raid, since we didn't get a chance to see your guys' whole run, like, what was the biggest like hold up like for you guys that you struggled on? Was it the puzzle? Like,
Yeah, sure. So, first boss actually, we struggled on survivability there. There was actually a lot of challenging scenarios where the new ad types that were added with this DLC would cook you. So, we had a lot of struggles on first boss. We were actually very far behind. I think we were 2 encounters behind, still stuck on first boss for a long time. Big thanks to our coaches, Relax and Soon. They gave us all the info once we finally did clear to catch back up. They helped us crank out the encounter right after that. And then we finally got to 4th encounter, which everyone was stuck on, in which we had a lot of huge brains in this call right now that had some really creative ideas on things to try. I think after beating our heads for how many hours in 4th encounter, like everyone else, it worked. Finally it worked. We're like, oh shit, no one else knows we're ahead of the game.
Kind of like recapping our first 2 encounters, like on our first encounter, we really struggled with understanding like the timing on conduits.
Right.
Because if you step on too early, it'll cancel. And we just had a lot of like deaths and issues with figuring out what we wanted to run for loadouts. So it was just like a really slow first encounter from us. And then yeah, obviously on second encounter, we were just dead a lot. The conduits really posed an issue, and the ads just on the when you split into 2 groups of 3, or 3 groups of 2, it was just really hard to keep your lives in check for us at least. But yeah, after that, it was just kind of playing catch up.
I'll ask this question as a little bit different, because like on the topic of breadcrumbing and if we liked it or not, I guess I'll just ask, like, if you guys had to rank this raid and give this raid proper feedback on things that you liked and didn't like, what would you say those are? And yeah, where would you place this raid in terms of your favorites outside of the race? Actually, I guess even the race, because you guys have raced a lot, so even that too.
I think Salvation's Edge was definitely one of my favorite raids, if not my favorite raid of all time. There is the fact that it has 5 encounters just makes it so much better than like so many raids already that only have 4 encounters. I do specifically wish that on the Verity encounter they added a bit more breadcrumbing though, because that definitely would have made the solution time go down a lot, which I think a lot of people were unhappy with. But I think overall the raid, the boss fights, both boss fights were visually and mechanically like 10 out of 10 in my opinion. I also really liked the opening encounter as well. It added a lot of team play, whereas like the previous raid, Rude and Nightmares, a lot of the mechanics could only be done, or you only required like 1 to 2 people for them, where majority of this raid you needed most, if not all the players to participate to actually complete the encounter, which I think was a big step up for Ron, and I think the community enjoyed a lot.
I want to say a huge congrats, and I feel like, you know, y'all have been close, because in Crota you guys came in 3rd. Yeah, it must feel really good to like kind of come really close and then pull off, in my opinion, when nobody even knew that you guys had done it until it was already done.
Yeah. Crota was kind of like disheartening for us. Well, I don't know if that's exactly the right word, but we were heavily prepared with like rockets and all that, and it ended up being like a sword meta boss, and we just weren't prepared for that. And it just kind of threw us off on that. So it was nice to like be prepared for a final boss and execute on the strats we were expecting to use. That was really nice.
How tight was the damage? Like, obviously we haven't got a chance to see it yet, but how did you guys deal with witness damage?
The final stand wasn't that bad. It's more so just playing your life. If you learn how to play your life correctly during the final stand, you probably should kill him as long as you have ammo. It's mostly just not dying.
The whole damage phase in general, you need to understand how to just live.
Yeah, it's mostly about living rather than pumping.
To put in perspective, we almost 2-phased while focusing on our life, so you can kind of gauge it off that.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like,
okay.
Yeah.
So it's more of like a puzzle than it
Yeah.
is like a damage test.
Well, not really.
It's very
the
like
most
Final
unique we've
Fantasy-esque.
seen.
I don't know if you've seen
Yeah.
boss fights
Yeah.
like that, but it's yeah.
It's a lot of avoiding soaks and continuously moving while doing damage, which is like a very new thing for most of Destiny bosses, right? Outside of Nezarec and Rolk.
Right.
Sit still, shoot fire, like everything you have essentially is the traditional style. But for this boss, I'd say it's probably the most unique damage phase we've seen for a long time. It's a lot of very small radius and then dodging a lot of very lethal attacks. It'll insta-kill you, which I think we had a lot of issues on at first, and then we just got the reps in, and people finally got it down on realizing that you don't really need to be trying to min-max damage. His health bar isn't actually that insane. It's more so just making sure you don't die, truly, more so than anything else, which is pretty unique in my mind for most of Destiny.
What's impressive? I mean, to not kind of lose hope or get down on yourselves, down at, you know, a few encounters, is really dope that you guys were able to persevere, especially after you said that in Crota it was kind of a tough kind of pill to swallow with how it ended. To be able to bounce back.
The elation we felt when we like knew we had solved like 4th encounter after making a comeback in front of everybody was like the biggest like adrenaline boost and like confidence boost, because you're behind the whole time and then you realize you're back in front. Like it was just like what we needed at the time.
The loot in this raid is incredible. Sometimes I gas up the loot in raids even when it's just okay or easily replaceable. But I cannot think of a raid in a while that has had this many great pieces to choose from. You have the SMG Imminence that just slaps and can get the new perk called Chaos Reshaped. This perk gives a 35% damage boost for just being in combat, and it will heal you periodically. This can also get some perks like Slice for strand builds with it. Just insane. The only issue I have with it, and most of the weapons, is that the reticle might just be slightly off-centered. This could be in my head, but I can't stop thinking that it's just slightly off-centered. And I really just prefer a red dot over a crosshair. The sniper critical anomaly can get some wild perk combinations too, like triple tap and reconstruction, rewind rounds and firing line, and more. These weapons will quickly remind you of Vault of Glass because of just how strong they are. The bow, non-denouement, can get perks to make it like the legendary Trinity Ghoul, and it has the Hush perk too, which is very nice. Good to see the pinnacle weapon perks are fully back. Now, I haven't got my hands on the glaive forthcoming deviants, nor do I use a lot of them, but I'm sure that chain reaction and reconstruction is very good on just about anything. The pulse rifle Nullify might be my favorite legendary of the bunch. It fires like Graviton Lance, it can get the new perk Chaos Reshaped, and it can get Heal Clip. Imagine damage, heal for more damage and more healing. The final legendary is a new type of sword frame, and I believe this is the first legendary sword to have this frame. A wave frame sword called Summon Bonum, which can get some great combos that swords alike share. But I find this type of sword has a unique animation that makes it almost require some time investment before I can call it great. At least it looks amazing. The armor will be hit or miss depending on who you ask, but I can't help but think that it's just not really for me. I can appreciate the subtle glows it gives, but a lot of it just looks really out of place on any other armor set, and doesn't work great for transmog. At least it lets my Titan look like an airplane with arms. Bungie made a huge effort to conceal the raid mods this time around, and I half love it and half hate it. The raid mods now cost no armor charges to use. Great, fantastic. The way to get them is cryptic too, requiring encounter triumphs for each encounter to unlock. Again, I love this. It encourages players who love the raid to engage in the title hunt, and they're not super easy triumphs either. The way to get them is equally cryptic. It's in the rooms that aren't the red chest plates. You need to present an offering, then follow the board order from the very beginning of the raid and bank the symbol that is not used in the red chest rooms. Confusing? It's intentional. The only problem I have is that they are time-gated mods and random, so even if you do all 5 triumphs, you can't get more than 1 mod per week. I don't think most players who earn all of the mods will even care about using the mods by the time they're all out. And to me, that's a bummer. What's not a bummer? How about the raid memento? In a great change, Bungie rewards a memento for those who complete the raid without wiping once. Or you get it for a master completion. This encourages master clears, and it encourages people to learn the raid to the fullest on normal. I'm all about cosmetic rewards for mastery. It's how the endgame flourishes in my opinion. The final reward outside of shaders and a sparrow for master mode is the exotic Euphony, which was rewarded to all who completed contest mode and dropped at a rare chance for those who didn't. Euphony is a 3-burst strand linear fusion rifle and is absolutely busted for those who use strand, as threadlings will spawn with sustained damage. It is so good that on the Witness, if you're not a hunter and you have this weapon, your damage can be comparable to Still Hunt and Celestial Nighthawk. Again, not quite there, but very good. Euphony is also the only weapon from the raid with lore, and its tab is a great one. It speaks on the final shape and what it means, the Witness's control, the golden harp, and the hand that plucks. Go have a read for yourself, it's great. So that is the loot, and that is the race, the story. But I always like to put in my 2 cents here, and seeing as this is the final raid of the 10-year saga coming to an end, I do have some things to say. To sum up everything, I think this was the most important raid in Destiny history for a ton of reasons. Above all, Salvation's Edge brought the challenge back to day 1 raid racing. This raid felt like a callback to the glory days of Forsaken and Last Wish, and that's exactly what the game needed. Root of Nightmares was a big disappointment, which was made even worse by the rest of the Lightfall expansion. So the Salvation's Edge experience proved that when Bungie devs are given the opportunity, they will cook like a Michelin star chef in Gordon Ramsay's kitchen. Seriously, Salvation's Edge was everything I wanted it to be. Even if it meant streaming for 24 hours straight, you guys know I wouldn't miss it. Part of me wishes that Salvation's Edge did have a Queen's Walk moment. A moment where you had to run away from the crumbling tower as the Witness departed. I think it would have made the payoff just that much better. I also believe that the first boss is a little too generic looking for a final raid. I get that everything was supposed to be a build-up to the Witness, but another boss, or a boss that at least looked super unique, would have been awesome. Like, who is Herald of the Witness? This could have been a great chance to bring out some demented looking creature. But I think without recency bias trying to creep in, I will say that Salvation's Edge has great encounter design across the board. Even with one boss until the Witness, this was my favorite raid since Last Wish and Vow of the Disciple. And I need to update my raid encounter ranking video now, because some may have cracked my top 5 in here. For some of you, the Verity encounter is your least favorite, but I think it's the most creative encounter since the Vault, and it brings me back to the days when Bungie was constantly stepping up the quality and trying ambitious ideas to test the player base. I really believe the Witness to be the best boss in the game, and the test of your skills better than any out there. I can only pray that Bungie keeps this difficulty in mind with a remastered Wrath of the Machine, or any Destiny 2 raid remaster, and especially with the next Frontiers Saga raid. There is a ton of raids to try out, and Salvation's Edge being the final test is great, but now we need to expand on this for the next saga, because raiders on day 1 will be there. I will be there. You will be there too, I hope. This was such a great time, and it made me think back to when I first began raiding as a whole, how I got so immersed in the Vault of Glass with my friends, how it has been 10 years of Destiny, how I was a high schooler when this first started, and now I'll be 27 in a month. Thank you to whoever invented these memories for me. They are irreplaceable, and they've made such an impact on not only me, but millions around the world. Think about where you were 10 years ago, and how far you've come. I'm very proud of you, and I can't wait to see where you'll be in 10 years from now. Thank you for watching, and don't worry, I still have some fun bloopers to accompany this heartfelt ending. Thank you.
A new thing has to be the easiest? But what about new players, Dado? New players shouldn't be in the contest mode.
Why do you have these things?
Because they're hilarious. Oh, that wasn't actually that.
Such random sound bites.
Yeah, I'll deal with them. Don't worry.
No, I'm just saying, you know,
Help! What? Where'd you go?
Okay.
Don't kill your thing yet. I'm gonna pop one.
Oh.